Welcome to the Tone Lounge Podcast, the definitive music industry and gear podcast with Jonathan Gilmet and Frank Fleckenstein.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the Tone Lounge Podcast. It is episode, 42? 43?
I believe so. Yeah, I think it's 42.
I think it's 42. And this is the show where we talk about a lot of guitar stuff and other MI-related topics. And today, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Jonathan Gilmet, a.k.a. the Duke of Voxington. How are you doing over there in Edmonton?
I'm doing mighty fine, and I couldn't wait to hear from you about your whole experience over at Guitar Summit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
you have seen the content I was uploading to the channel, right? Or some of it.
I've seen most of it, and
okay.
I also gave some thumbs up. So, you know,
that's good.
That was engaging.
Very good. So, originally we had a guest for today's episode, but unfortunately he had to cancel because something came up, and I'm going to try to talk him into do it next week. He proposed tomorrow, but I'm not able to do anything tomorrow due to several things. I just started a new job, so there's lots of things that I have to take care about.
You're a pole dancer, right?
Yes, I'm a pole dancer now. Exactly. My stage name is Maiden.
Maiden, you're so nimble. It's amazing.
Holy shit. But nonetheless, yes. Even without the guest, there's definitely lots of things to talk about. You just mentioned Guitar Summit, so I attended Guitar Summit not last weekend, the weekend before that, and I went for 2 full days, and I hung out with a lot of people that even some of the people that we had in the podcast, like Jupiter Effects, like Chris from Jupiter Effects, and a couple of other guys. I was surprised to not see Guillaume from Two Notes there. That was kind of weird. I met with Derek from Rev Amplification, who I also invited to the podcast, and he says he's happy to join us in one of the next episode, which is great. Fellow Canadian. So someone who doesn't live too far away from you, although in that scales, it's probably he's far away.
He's far away, but he's like on the same latitude. So yeah,
yeah, so something like that.
Yeah,
and So where do we start? If you guys are following the channel, you have probably seen an interview we did with Philip Sayce, also a fellow Canadian, but for the past 10 to 15 years already living in Los Angeles, because that's where lots of the music scene happens.
Yeah.
But and that interview was really, really nice because Philip is a genuinely nice person. He was like, he really took the time. He wasn't like rushed or anything. He was, and I never felt like I'm interviewing someone who felt like superior to me. Where in the past, when I talked to a few people, and when I interviewed people, sometimes I felt like, okay, he thinks I'm like just like some little guy, and and that's it's kind of a weird feeling sometimes. I didn't have that feeling with Philip, and that was very nice.
It's one of those, I think it's a lens that a lot of artists, like well-established artists, may look at life through. Like they might look through this lens of, who's this person in relation to me? Are they on the same level? Are they lower? It's like, it's a weird way to look at things. And I got the impression from watching your interview with Philip Sayce that he's more of a humbled kind of person. Like he looks at you as a fellow human and not like, I'm this guitar god and legend, and you're just some person doing the interview, and I'm, you should be grateful to interview me. He doesn't come across like that.
No.
I've seen a few of his interviews, and he's pretty consistent. Like, if you ask him a question, he says, thank you for the question, and then he answers, and it's pretty amazing. Like, he doesn't hold back on the information that he shares, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and I guess obviously because of the artist and the guitar player, because he's just like an absolute devil of a guitar player, and because of that, and also because he is the way he is, and he's like this very humble person, that has gotten him very far, playing with amazing artists in the past, but also now working with a couple of like really cool companies. Like he's in the PRS guitar artist roster. He's recently did this pickup set with Seymour Duncan, which is just kind of a big deal. If Seymour Duncan comes around and says, "Hey, let's do a signature pickup set,"
you say yes.
It's definitely something. So, and then I also had the chance to walk by a couple of booths where I thought there was interesting stuff going on. I really enjoyed my talk with Anders from True Temperament. And they're doing something really nice. So if you guys don't know what True Temperament is, it's a company that dedicated their like past 15 years to finding the perfect formula to have the frets positioned in a way where the instrument is fully tempered, like fully in tune, fully intonated, up like to the last 0.1 cent. And they're always referred to as the drunken frets because they look like squiggly a little bit. They look like sort of weird, but they play just like normal frets. Like there's no difference in like bending or whatever. It just feels like the neck that you already play. And they now started to offer replacement necks. So if you have a guitar that is either like a Strat or a Tele or something that has the same sort of neck pocket dimensions, you can just get one of their necks and, fit it perfectly and change your existing neck, and then you get to experience a completely and fully intonated instrument, all across the fretboard, whatever chord, whatever. And I think with stuff like that, there's like an early adopter phase, but they're past that. They already worked with a couple of companies on, like giving them access to the technology, and now it's like I think this is also going to stir a couple of things up.
I've always wondered, because now we have True Temperament, we have Fan Frets. We had our guest Kenzo that does like the banana frets. The banana frets, exactly. So there's multiple variants on the same kind of topic or ideology, if you will. And I'm wondering, for the end user, guitar players like us, is there one that's better than the other in your opinion? Or is it all kind of achieving the same kind of result in the end?
I think so with the banana frets and with the slanted frets, like the angled frets, or fanned frets, I think that has more to do with tension, and like having a longer scale at the bass, at the bottom side, than at the treble side, in order to compensate for like lower tunings or extended range instruments, like 7 or 8 strings, whereas this wouldn't apply to the True Temperament system. This really has to do with perfect intonation of
Gotcha.
the instrument, because in the real world you always sort of compensate for, because everybody else, and Anders explained it in a very, very easy way. He said that like everybody else in your band is perfectly intonated. The keyboard player is perfectly intonated. But you always have to sort of compensate for, and even sometimes you really, you notice, even if you tune your instrument like absolute, like perfectly to the cent, you play certain chords, they always sound weird.
Yeah.
They always sort of sound weird, and you try to compensate by hitting a little bit harder, so it kind of, doesn't show 100%. You don't really listen to it. You don't really hear it or notice it. and and then I would assume a lot of people just don't recognize it. Especially people. I mean, people in the audience don't give a shit. They probably they couldn't care less. They don't even they couldn't even make out the difference between a proper guitar amp and some modeling device that's on the floor.
Yeah.
And also they don't care. They want to hear music, and they're not there to look at what's this guy playing on his pedal board? Is he even playing a real amp? Well, they couldn't care less.
There's people in the audience who are called guitar nerds who probably care, but for the vast majority, you're right. Most people just don't care what you're using. They just care about the experience, the whole band. They don't see it. That's a guitar player. That's the bassist. That's a drummer. They just see a band. And as long as the band sounds good, that's all they care for.
Exactly. So, and that's the guitar police. But so I found that to be very interesting. Then I had a conversation with the guys from DSM Humboldt, which is a company out of Chile, a country that I have a special relationship with. And these guys sort of specialized in the fully analog solution to having a pedalboard only setup. So they have the simplifier in different versions. Like there's an easy version, there's like a very, very extended version of the simplifier. And what it is essentially is it emulates the sound of a certain array of amps, like, Fenderish clean, Marshall-y drive, Marshall-y distortion, and that kind of stuff. And you can just run it straight to the board. And because it's analog, it obviously has a massive dynamic range. And also, you're not losing signal to digital analog conversion. And then essentially that's all you need. And they have really stepped up that game up to the point where I once compared the simplifier with one of Universal Audio Solutions. They also have these, and the simplifier just blew them out of the water, like in terms of how it felt.
Okay.
So that was, and these guys are like, they're as cool as hell as well. It's like super regular guys that just enjoy what they do, and just enjoy like making these products and thinking about, okay, what could we do next? How else could we, improve this? And Joey Landreth, actually, it's we're full of Canadians today. Joey Landreth, Philip Says, what's
We're
going
invading.
On? You're invading. He played the stuff live on stage at Guitar Summit, and sounded killer. Sounded absolutely killer. Sounded really alive. The whole thing, a couple of pedals on his board, and then simplifier straight to the board. Great, just really great. What else? I went to see Nova Pickups. That was one of your recommendations. And Till is just like, I mean, I know him for some time now. Even at, like, in the beginning when he just started, and I think especially for the price point, what they're offering is amazing. And also like the attention to detail, the 3D printed sort of housings for the technology, for the pickups, for the magnets, the fact that they use materials that are not traditionally connected with guitar pickups. And it's like bringing something new to the table. And I think if they do it right, and if they grow in a healthy way, they're also going to really be a massive competitor at some point.
I've been talking with them about different guitar pickups and bass options. I actually have a set of their Omnia in my SG back there. And the one cool thing too is if you order from them, if you have a logo for your band, for your company or whatever,
they can include that.
Yeah, they can customize that, and it's like, I mean, it's stellar work. I really like the fact that they use some more unconventional magnets for their pickups. The first time that I was aware of Nova pickups was when Chris from Jupiter Effects, he sent me a pickup that is loosely based on the Super Distortion. And it has the neodymium magnets in there. And I mean, those fucking things are strong enough you could like lift, like, I don't know, screwdrivers and shit. It's like, it really holds on, right? It's like you could lift a small car with that fucking thing. And that concept is kind of derived from his flagship pickup over at Nova Pickups, which is called the Omnia. And he's got like this cross pattern with the magnets so he can do like even more hum canceling. So when you look at the whole thing, this guy's really forward thinking and trying to modernize the guitar pickup.
Yeah.
Right now he's talking about like maybe making a lower output version just so he can also get the people that are more into blues and rock and stuff like that. So he's got a lot of stuff planned ahead. I don't want to reveal everything because we were kind of shooting the shit about like some ideas. So he's definitely wired in. Like he really loves what he does, and it really shows. And I love companies like that. Companies where they can innovate. They think what do modern players want, but what's the stuff that they like from years past that we can still keep with our current projects. So he's definitely a very cool dude.
100%. Absolutely amazing guy. Where else did I go? I talked with Derek from Ref Amps. They had a few new amplifiers that they displayed at Guitar Summit. I also spoke. No, I wanted to talk with David from Myones, because their booth is always just like, the guitars are so beautiful. It's like, they must have like a private stock of exotic woods that is like never ending. It's just it's breathtaking. But I didn't catch him. I didn't catch him the second day, so impossible for me to get him. Who else? I touch base with Chris. I also spoke to David from Codex Audio. Those guitars, they just look killer, man. It's with the slotted headstock. It's like I think like, and I mean, there's like a ton of luthiers out there that are like referred to as boutique luthiers, but then you pass by that booth and like the guitar has a very, very unique and cool shape. It still has like access to the last fret. Some of the finishes are just like amazing, and the price point is like way below everything else. I mean, I've talked to guys that they told me, our guitar started at 5,000 euros. Yeah. I'm like, holy shit. Okay. And I was like, that's nice, but also, that's like blues lawyer stuff, in a way.
It can be that, or it's like the one guitar, your desert island guitar, you get it custom made from these guys, and you're willing to pony up the money for that, maybe. But for like guys like you and I, like you could see right in the corner behind me, there's like $150 Kramer with a pickup that's worth just as much as the guitar in there, right? So
it's true.
Like $5,000, maybe in the next lifetime, maybe.
It's just a lot of money, and it does not even have to do with like the fact that they use like specially selected materials. No, and also there's like most of these guys use sort of the same sources for like woods, even exotic woods. But then it comes down to the actual working hours and the more complex your guitar looks and the more details it has and the more curves and shapes and whatnot, obviously there's more working hours to it and it jacks up the price. So that is, but yeah, in the end, your sort of targeted audience is going to be very, very narrow. And I wonder how far some of these companies can actually go with that. And then you get Codex Audio and you're like, well, you can get one of their instruments to your specifications. 1 pickup, 2 pickups, the color, etc., etc. So you have to some extent you can customize it, and you get it for like, I don't know, 1,600, 1,700 euros.
Yeah, those are killer prices.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering though is, because I don't know as much about guitar building as I do about guitar playing. So obviously there's a few things here that I don't know. But I'm thinking, if it takes you like 3 months to work on a guitar, how many guitars can you put out per year? So then you have to justify the price that you're putting it at. So if it took you 3 months of labor to put out a guitar, maybe you do sell it for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. If you can put out 12 guitars a year, maybe that brings down the cost of the guitar, because now you're talking volume, you're not talking unit.
Yeah.
And there's also the method by which you are working. So if you're the only person going from A to Z on a guitar, that's probably different than someone who has 5 employees and one does like paint and varnish and all this stuff. The other one does the fret leveling. So perhaps then you have even more volume, so you can start to bring down the price because you're selling more units. So I don't know if you know more about this topic than I do, but do you think that could have an impact on why one is selling 5,000 and the other one's going for 1,600?
Well, it all depends on a few factors. One, for sure, has to do with how long do you need to actually build a guitar. And then those working hours obviously need to be accounted for when you sell it and you try to make a living out of that. But then again, there are other things like how much does the place you are renting out to do these things cost? Did you buy machinery that you need to pay back? Or
like a CNC machine or something like that,
do you
right?
need a CNC machine? Do you have a spray booth, which is, I would say for most people, I mean, they need a spray booth.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth, and all of that. And if, for example, I have a friend in Chile who makes guitars. He makes between 3 and 4 guitars a month. But the difference is the place that he is renting is relatively cheap in comparison to what I'm hearing from some of the guys living in Europe. That's one thing. He has faster access to a lot of woods because a lot of it is grown in South America. So it doesn't need to be shipped, to like another continent. That's another. And with 3 to 4 guitars, and his guitars start at like 1,800 to 2,000 euros or USD. If he sells 3 guitars a month, he's pretty well off for like Chilean circumstances.
Yeah.
And I would think that that's a decent output. And he doesn't have a lot of help. He's pretty much now doing the guitars on his own. But that's a decent output. And then there are some guys where the instrument price is justified because they also have a name attached to, and they have a reputation. Yep. Like if you look at Nick Huber guitars, if he comes up with a new model, he gets orders like for a year in advance.
That's crazy.
It's because he has created quite a reputation. So,
which brings me to a consideration. So we're talking about like guitars that are hand built by smaller companies. They're selling it for, let's say, $5,000. I recently went to Long and McQuaid and was looking at some of the Gibson products, and here in Canada they sell for $10,000 for, like, let's say something like a Les Paul Custom. I used to own a Les Paul Custom, and I paid like $2,000 back in the day. Now they're 10. And if you grab those and you play them, some of them play like complete dog shit because they're not set up by anyone in the store. But even if they were set up to perfection, and you play a Gibson Les Paul from, whatever, brand new that just came out, I can't justify $10,000 for those guitars. I just can't. And the resale value is not competitive. Like, if you buy it for $10,000, you can't sell it for $10,000.
No,
you're going to take a price, price dive on that just because it's Gibson. People are expecting the brand name on the guitar to keep its resale value, but fuck, who buys a $10,000 guitar now? Brand new. You go to Long & McQuaid or Sweetwater or whatever. It's hard to justify. So $5,000 in a sense is, it's a bit more competitive. It's half the price of the big guys, but maybe the resale value isn't there either. If people don't know who that company is, right?
No.
So
that's the thing. And it's a blues lawyer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the story here.
Fucking blues lawyers.
Unbelievable.
Then those dentists. Oh, fuck those guys.
But so overall, just to give you like a mini resume on Guitar Summit, it was well attended. It was a bit better organized than last year, in my humble opinion. The Saturday was packed anyways, and it's a little bit like, if you spend there 2 or 3 hours in that sort of like sticky air, you need to get the hell out of there. And you need to like every 3 hours, you need to be out at least for 10 minutes. Otherwise, you're getting a headache because apparently nobody is opening any windows there. But everybody's walking around, and so at some point there's just too much going on, and it messes with you. So you need a break now and then. And some people I've seen were questioning the concept of the silent show that it is, because if you guys are not familiar with Guitar Summit, the whole concept is that the floor is mostly quiet apart from the environmental noise of people talking to each other. And if you want to try something, that is actually being done either through headphones and then very good solutions so that there's a certain representation of the product, whether a guitar or an amp that you're trying. And there is one dedicated area where people can chop each other's heads off, by cranking an amp and, going crazy on each other. That's just this one area. And some people started to be like, well, I don't know if that's the right thing. Back in the days of Musikmesse and a NAMM show, everybody can just, go crazy, and it kind of creates also some attention to, some of the products. Like, yes, but on the other hand, it is what it is. The concept of the show is to be a silent show where because the other on the other end of the spectrum, if you have a show like NAMM where everybody can just here and then crank up and go crazy, you want to get the hell out of there even earlier. You and I remember back in the days of Musikmesse, when they combined the drum hall with the guitar hall, that was hell. It was I think, what did we call it? We called it acoustic waterboarding.
Yeah,
because you have like 30 shitheads playing all different cymbals at full, and some guy trying a snare, and on the other end you have like a guy cranking an amp and like shredding the shit out of it, and you're like, oh god. It was like after 2 or 3 hours you were done. You were absolutely done. So
So if you don't mind, I'm going to have, let's say, 5 questions for you. Just kind of things that we talked about on the last episode, and I just want to get your impression now that you've been to it. So one of the things that you did mention is that Guitar Summit, their intention was to have, let's say, a big company and smaller companies near each other, so that way they didn't isolate the smaller companies, let's say on the third floor where no one had time to go see them. So did you see a more just booth layout for small companies versus the big ones?
I did, but they kept the whole concept of keeping certain things of a topic. Like, for example, the lower floor was electric guitar. The main floor, the bass floor, was electric guitar. Then the first floor was boutique, and there was also some of the like more niche-y sort of companies, like True Temperament was there, for example, because they belong there, because they're not another major player yet. And Nova Pickups was also in that area, and then you had acoustic all the way up. But you had small booth next to a big one for a bigger company, like you had the Ovation guitars and some of the other ones next to a company that was smaller, that did like classical flamenco guitars. So it was all a little bit more mixed up.
Okay, I see. In your opinion, for maybe there's someone in the audience that has a small company, they're thinking about going to Guitar Summit next year, would you advise them to do that? Do you think that they've really managed to highlight some of the smaller companies, giving them just as much exposure as the bigger ones?
I would say yes. I would say that they definitely have done that. However, there's one little thing that I would wish, and it's something I'm definitely going to give them as feedback. So the amount of business visitors, like guys that are either owning a store or they are buyers for a larger store, and you've seen a lot of these guys coming, especially on the Friday, because obviously they want to use that last working day. They go there, and then, afterwards they go home, or the next day they go home, or whatever the plan is. And I have not seen that there are separate areas where you can meet and have like a more private discussion, other than sitting at the booth where you talk about business, even some internal stuff, and then you have some guy next to you that has no business in listening to that stuff. But apparently you need to rent those extra rooms. And also the business visitors just came in with a regular ticket, so they had to wait in line with hundreds of other people that wanted to get in.
Okay.
And so I would love for them to maybe create an additional ticket with a separate entrance, or like combine it with the press entrance and artist entrance, where business visitors can more easily go in and out. That would give that show a little bit more of the character that the NAMM show has, because the only reason for like international people from the industry, especially store owners or buyers, to go to NAMM is because they can talk business there. Yeah. And it's because everybody's going there, and they can also see things that they might have not seen before. And then it's like, oh, that's cool. I'd like to have that in my store. I would like to sell that. So if they kind of look a little bit more, I mean, they have already created it as a great, end customer event. Now, if they can focus a little bit more on the business customer and the business attendees, then I think it would be the perfect show.
Okay. My other question for you is, we've talked about the fact that in the past, especially the year that I went, there was like barely any YouTubers there. Is there like a just amount of social media presence, or did they like go over the top? There were like too many YouTubers out there making content. Did it feel like they struck a balance between previous years and what they're doing now?
So I've seen a lot of people at the different booth going around with camera equipment. Sometimes there were even two. One guy operating the camera and the other guy doing the interview and talking about the stuff that was going on at that booth. And so they have done quite a few things here, which I think is great. And they also have like a couple of like YouTube partners, like channels that they have like some sort of affiliation with that are like guaranteed to be there, especially guys with a like sort of bigger profile. And so this show, from that side of things, this show is getting more and more interest and more exposure. That's for sure.
Cool. And I think to kind of like put a little nice bouquet over this topic, what would you say were the standout products that you saw at Guitar Summit this year?
Oh. So to me, I think the guitars that Codex Audio had, they really stood out, because you go by there and you immediately think, oh, this looks very different. So that is already intriguing. And then when you play them, you're like, oh, and they're also comfortable and they sound great. So that's good. I liked that. DSM Humboldt, and that's why I went there. Their stuff is absolutely amazing. And in the end, it's difficult to say, hey, this is a standout. This is a standout product. Line 6, for example, they are about to release the Helix Stadium. I don't know if you have seen that. But it wasn't on display, but they had a secret room where they invited some YouTubers to take a look at it and, create footage and content. Where it's like, yeah, cool, but it would have been an absolute show killer if they had it on display and people would have been able to check it out. Maybe not play it, but at least see what's coming up.
Yeah.
Other than that, I saw a ton of guitar builders I've never heard about in my life before.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of them also with very, I feel like the whole extended range scene is really growing into two directions, into the more affordable and and the boutique stuff is growing. So apparently there's still a high demand for extended range instruments and solutions for that matter. But stuff that really, really, really stands out and blew me away, no.
So last question on this. Did you see any outrageous gear this year, like $500,000 guitars or things like that? Was there anything that you were like, what in the hell is this doing here?
No.
I'm surprised.
There was nothing there that would either get to that value, or maybe I haven't passed it. I'm not sure. I mean, I felt like with almost 500 exhibitors, I felt like 2 days wasn't enough.
Really?
To get around all of that. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. It's not enough. Just not enough time. It's just
crazy.
not enough time. If you want to really look at things in detail, you can pass by and you can take a look, 30 seconds. You're like, oh, okay, cool, great. But if you wanted to really check out and inhale everything, no, impossible to do it in 2 days. And the first day I had one appointment after the other. So the Friday was really more of a business visit for me. And then the Saturday, I was trying to do as much as possible around that time when I met with Philip Sayes for the interview, which we did in the hotel. We didn't do it at the Summit venue.
Yeah, especially considering if it's still quite noisy with just the chatter of people on the floor. Having that interview would have been super distracting. So, yeah, 100%. Makes sense. So would you recommend that I save up and go next year? Oh,
100%. 100%. It's we definitely should go together next year, and then we can take turns who operates the camera and who talks to the people at the booth.
I think you're the better interviewer, because I love like zoning in on the gear and filming shit. So I'm pretty sure I'd be like the audio camera guy, and you'd be like the, hey, this is Frank from FFX Audio, right. And we're like, you got that down. I'd be like, my name is Jonathan. I'd look like a fucking goofball. So if we go, we could do that. And also, we have spoken about this, but I think if we could do some kind of podcast or film perhaps some content over there, that would be cool too. Like,
100%. That I think that would be great, and I'm trying to apply to the organization in order for us to be able to do that, to get like a space where we can like then reach out to people and we can invite them to the podcast. We do some kind of like in the room podcast.
Yeah.
And
that would make sense. That way, especially if there's like people you see on the floor that you're like, you guys are interested. Okay, let's book you. And, you might have like half hour with one, 15-minute with the other. But in the end, you have a lot of content and some, pre-written questions or maybe some stuff that they want to talk about that you're unaware of whatever product coming up. So, yeah, that would be a cool thing to do. And I spoke with Remco about Guitar Summit. So I know he was looking forward to seeing this episode just so he could justify maybe going next year to Guitar Summit. So in the meantime, while you were over there, I was here in Edmonton going to the Edmonton Guitar Show.
Okay.
I was there for 20 minutes. I got to see everything.
Yeah.
I didn't bring a camera. I was like, I wanted to know, like, first off, Edmonton's a big city, but the music scene here, especially when it comes to gear, is not as vibrant as what you would see in, let's say, Los Angeles or, anywhere else where they have like big events.
Interesting.
So I went there. There were a few companies, nothing that, I thought was worthy of filming content and uploading it to our channel. So I was like, well, I'm kind of trying to, be at a guitar show there for 20 minutes, cost me $10. And I walked back out. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do this again next year. I think I'll go to Guitar Summit instead. Like I was, maybe, I'm going to be able to quench that thirst, that envy I have of going to Guitar Summit by going to the Edmonton Guitar Show. Fuck no.
Okay.
No. That did not satisfy me. Nope. That was like a quickie, man. I didn't do it.
I totally get it. Get it. There are a few news items that we can still go over. We still have a little bit of time. And one thing that we talked beforehand was that it was brought to your and my attention that Ken Parker, the guitar maker, Parker Guitars, has recently passed away at age 73, I believe.
Yeah.
So there might be a lot of people who listen now and you're like, Parker guitars, and you can't place that anywhere. But if you just, use a simple Google search and look for Parker guitars, you'll find very futuristic looking, oddly shaped guitars that were very, very appreciated, especially by accomplished players.
Yeah.
So one of them, Adrian Ballou, who sort of really, he was a long time artist and player, using the guitars because he also has like a very complex setup, and I think Ken Parker made him a very complex guitar with like synth axes and all kinds of quirks and things built in. But he wasn't the only one. I mean, Matt Bellamy is playing Parker, or was playing Parker. Joni Mitchell and even Eddie Van Halen owned a Parker guitar. So there was certainly something. There was certainly something about them. And I once had a chance to talk to Adam Dutkiewicz from No,
Is
I
it
forgot.
Kill Switch Engage?
Kill Switch, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I blacked out for a second. Kill Switch Engage. And he actually played one for quite some time that only had a single humbucker in it. And he told me that the reason was that they were like absolutely feather light. It was super light. And he had back issues for quite some time.
Yeah.
So that's why he changed to that guitar, only having a single humbucker, a pickup, nothing more. And he really played it for quite some time in order to compensate for that issues with his back. So yeah, did you ever play one?
Actually, yeah, I have a little bit of a anecdote of my experience with Parker guitar. So I used to live in northern Quebec, in the province of Quebec, and we had a very small music store, but the owner of that music store was super tuned in to all the latest gear. He used to go to NAMM, so it would cost him thousands of dollars, and this was like the beginning of the internet. Okay, so there wasn't as many forums, or YouTube wasn't around and all this stuff. And he had like 2-3 Parker guitars in his store, and I had my Gibson Les Paul, which was a Les Paul custom in his store. He was doing like fine tuning on my guitar and all that. And I come in to pick it up, and I see the guitars. I'm like, what are those? He goes, those things, man, they kill your guitar all day long. And I'm looking at him like, you're out of your fucking mind. I must have been like 18 or whatever. So he passes one down and goes, over here you have a switch, so you have this piezo pickup that's going to give you like an acoustic guitar sound. Yeah, so exactly. I try that. I'm like, holy fuck. And then he goes, try the whammy bar, just bring it down as much as you want. This thing will stay in tune. And the fucking thing stayed in tune. And he was telling me about like how the fretboard is made with composite material where it's never going to wear out, and you're probably never going to need a fret job on this. So he was upselling this guitar, and at the end, I was so upset that my guitar didn't have this shit that I was actually thinking of trading my Les Paul for a Parker. It was lighter, it was well balanced. I mean, it had everything, but it looked so quirky. I was like, I don't know. I don't like the look of the guitar, but it played so amazingly. Weird, right? Yeah, it looked. That's my experience with it.
Yeah, it looked super weird. I think he was one of the first guys who incorporated carbon fiber a lot, not only for the build but also for the neck stability. So where the neck had like layers of carbon fiber in order to keep it stable when changing environments. And it was later adopted by a lot of other builders. Like I remember like Kiesel having like you obviously have the truss rod, and then beside the truss rods they installed like carbon fiber rods in order to, keep the neck stable. Yeah. And I used to own several Kiesel guitars, and I've taken one from like extreme cold to extreme heat, and I didn't have to adjust anything. It just
that is nuts,
and that's great. And that was one of the aspects. And while we were talking about this, I had a thought, and that thought turned out to be absolutely confirmed. It was just confirmed. So I just typed into Reverb Parker guitars, and guess what?
You've gone up.
So you can now buy a Parker Fly Mojo mahogany from 1997 for 5,000 euros.
Those were already climbing in price.
Yeah.
Because I at one point last year I was thinking of getting one, and then I started to go down the rabbit hole of the old Parkers versus some of the newer ones. Adam from Kill Switch Engage in an interview was saying that he stopped playing them because the frets like popped out and just fell on the ground. Like he had a fret just come off. And he was like, what the fuck? So, apparently the quality control in later models just wasn't as good. I don't know if they handed the production to overseas or something along those lines.
Yeah. I think at some point they actually moved at least the production of some models to Asia. And then they had the Parker like P models, like the P36 and the P40, which were definitely made somewhere overseas. Let's see. So, okay, the cheapest that I could find is a P40 that we just spoke about. That one comes with a Wilkinson trem, and that is made in Korea. So they moved some stuff over to Korea. So the P series definitely was made in Korea. But I think the Nightfly and especially like the Mojo, those were still made in the US. But now it's like the prices have gone up. It's like, what the
They were really pricey when they came out. Like I remember them being quite expensive, but it was a brand new company, right?
Yes.
And eventually that price kind of ended up being more competitive. I wouldn't say more affordable, but at least more competitive. And I've always had it in the back of my mind, like they are killer guitars to play. They have great innovations on them. I still have a hard time with the look. So that's kind of why I never bit the bullet on those. I know it's kind of fickle. It makes me sound like an asshole, but how a guitar looks kind of matters. It doesn't really matter on the playability, but if you put it on you and you look like a fucking douchebag playing it, then you kind of don't want to play that guitar because everyone says, you make that guitar look weird, or that guitar makes you look like an idiot, so you don't want to play it. But Parker's kind of had that look to them, like if you're skinnier than I am, maybe they look better on you, but when you're like a big fat guy playing a Parker, it kind of looks a little weird. So
anyways, well, rest in peace, Ken Parker. He definitely innovated a lot of things around the guitar. I mean, the headstock alone was copied in like different formats, like many times, and actually led to like design issues and problems and fights between certain makers where like, no, I did it first. And it's like, no. And Ken Parker did it first, and you all copied from him. So, shut the... in other news, and we spoke about this in one of the last episodes, the Klon Centaur lawsuit has been settled. Remember when we talked about Behringer?
Yeah, I looked that up actually this morning. Just came across my feed, and very interesting development.
Very interesting development, and I think I'm now at a point where I believe this whole thing was like completely calculated and staged by Behringer to sell these fucking pedals. That's my belief, because here's the thing. So they come out with this thing. It doesn't even have the Behringer logo on it. It just says Centaur Overdrive, right? And it has the guy with the sword and all the shebang.
Yep.
So then Bill Finnegan says, "Hey, this is super counterfeit stuff, and you can't do this. And I actually have a trademark on the Centaur name, So he sues them. And while he's suing them, and the news is breaking about the lawsuit, in the meantime, first of all, Behringer is selling shit tons of the already existing pedal, and people that bought them are trying to sell them for like stupid amounts.
500.
The biggest one I saw was 2,000.
2,000.
Where you're like,
what the fuck?
If somebody is actually considering to pay $2,000 for a Chinese pedal that originally cost 69, then you're not only out of your mind, you're just plain fucking stupid. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
And why? Because why you do it? It's just for shits and giggles. Great. And then afterwards, so the news of the lawsuit break, and then they changed the name of the unit to Centaura. From Centaur to Centaura. They made a couple of visual changes. Then suddenly they have it with the Behringer logo, so it's like more distinguishable.
Yeah.
And then the lawsuit is settled, and now the whole thing is called Zentara. like Zen.
So three iterations.
3 iterations.
Of the same one.
Exactly. It's like it's super weird, and no information is out about how this was settled. If Bill Finnegan said, "Okay, they're making the changes, I'm holding off on things," or if Music Tribe Behringer actually paid him, I don't know, reparations for like the units that were sold that still had the old design. There's no information about that. But one thing is for sure, however this whole thing played out internally between the two parties, in the meantime, Behringer has made a shit ton of money selling pedals, which is why I'm like...
I saw a video this morning. So there's a YouTuber, I always forget his name. He's got like long blonde hair, and he's always doing like these deep dives into like controversies in the gear.
The Irish guy, what's his name? I forgot. Yeah, with the glasses and everything. Yeah. Exactly.
So he was talking about this. So that's how I knew about this topic. And he brought forth a really interesting point. He was saying that while Behringer was being sued, they were advertising the second iteration of this pedal, but no one received that one. So there's like no proof that the second version is out on the market, only the first one. And the first one, the Centaur Overdrive, there are thousands of them on the market.
Yes,
so a lot of people were putting posts saying, I'm one of the lucky ones. I received, the original one. I didn't receive the second version. So now they have a third iteration, but where's the second? Has it ever been sold to anybody? Or was it kind of like their way of delaying being sued while they made the third version? Which is really interesting. But at the same time, I have somewhere here, I think over there, I might just grab it and show you. I have a kit build, like Klon type of pedal. It's most likely from China. I bought it like at Long and McQuaid's. It was like $49.
Okay.
Dirt cheap. And it's basically the same kind of box, much smaller than a Klon, and it's got the same kind of logo, the same kind of knobs and everything. I think a lot of companies out there did not shy away from showing the roots of their pedals. I think that Behringer just went a little bit like spicier than everybody. Like they had like the same kind of box, but much, much smaller. They had, I can't tell the difference between their original logo and the one from the Klon Centaur. So I think they just pushed the envelope just a little bit too much.
Yes. And I think because, there are numerous versions of a Klon style circuit out there.
Yeah.
Wampler has one. And there are tons of companies out there that do that. Same goes for the Blues Breaker, the Tube Screamer, the DS1 has a lot of iterations. Then what else? The SD9. So there are so many. There's so many companies that make Boss CE2 clones.
Yeah,
and they somehow leave sort of a hint on what this pedal originally is intended to be. And they might even have the one-on-one circuitry in there with the one-on-one sort of components. But they don't call it the same way. They don't say, hey, this is called the CE1, or this is called a chorus ensemble, because that would be just that bit too much.
It's too much. Now, like you were saying, if you can pay homage to the pedal, or have, instead of calling it the Blues Breaker, you call it the Balls Breaker or something funny, something clever. But it's that where you're basically copying everything and everyone knows that that's what you're doing, right? So Behringer's not on the enclosure. It's called the Centaur Overdrive. It's these little things that in a sense, if we're just going to be like objective about it, there's something, daring, very ballsy, and almost brilliant about how they went about it, because they knew they were going to shock the market. They knew they were going to piss people off. People were going to talk about them, but they knew it would have zero fucking impact on sales in a negative sense. No. They knew they would be selling a shit ton of them, and that's what they did. It's just that moral qualm of, like, should you? It's not because you can that you should, kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
So hopefully Bill Finnegan made a shit ton of money from this.
I hope that Behringer at least had to pay him for some of the stuff that they had sold up until that point. That would be something that I would wish for him, because in the end, and then one little remark to what you said earlier when you said, like, people were buying the first version of Behringer's copy and then claim to say, hey, I'm one of the lucky ones who got an original. No, you don't. You have a copy of someone, of a company that is known to have, like, an entire city. So there's Music Tribe City, full of people working for them that actually sleep there, at the campus, and we don't know in what conditions. So it's China in the end, nobody knows. And you bought that. If you had an original, from Bill Finnegan, but then you would have to spend at least 5 to 6 times, because the Klon KTR is still expensive as a pedal. But used, you can get it here and there for like $400, if you're lucky. Obviously, if you want an original, Klon in the original, then obviously then prices are like absolutely insane. But
they shot up.
That's the
and the question is, at the end of the day, like, I'm trying to think of, let's say this would have played out very differently. Let's say that Behringer was selling from the get-go the third iteration of this pedal. Yeah. Would anyone be talking about it?
No.
I don't think so, because the market is flooded with, like, Klon Centaur type pedals.
Yes.
Now, if they would have come out with their own version, people would have been, oh, look at it, cute enclosure, kind of a nod to the original, but I don't need another Klon Centaur. I just don't. There's so many versions. Some of them are fucking stellar. I don't know how they compare to the original. I had I don't know if you ever heard of this one, the Ohmless AKC4. So the Ohmless make this, like...
Yes. I know. I had one.
Yeah.
I had one. I liked the sound, but for some reason, I didn't like how the switching was implemented.
It's complicated.
Always, no, but the bypass switching, there was always a little gap, and that has to do with how it's programmed. Because obviously it's relay switching, and there's a relay, but there's a programmable chip close to the relay that kind of tells the relay what to do when, and usually that's something that's been done with most pedals. You have like 2 momentary switches. They don't have a proper click action. They just
it's soft.
It's very very soft, and you click on them once, and the pedal engages. You click them and again, disengages, and then and what you can also do, and that's programmed very often in the same way, if you keep pushing, you stay on there, you actually engage the pedal for as long as you stay on that button, and then you go. However, I don't know how it's implemented with that pedal, but you click on it, and there's always like a little gap in the sound before it engages, and that was like, okay, I can't use this. As much as I love that it's a pedal made in Germany and whatnot, but it's like,
What I wanted to underline with that pedal is that AKC is another Klon Centaur. Like, they weren't shying away from letting you know, it's just another fucking Klon, right? But there are some companies that are a little more creative. Like you get the impression you're getting like a completely original design, but then if you do the research, they don't really say it in the verbiage that it is a clone, but they're like this classic sought after pedal of the 1990s. And you're like, okay, which one would it be? Because there's quite a few. So eventually when you hear the transparent and mid forward, and you're like, okay, those are two different things. You're probably talking about a clone, right? But for Behringer, just to kind of recap the whole thing on it, is that my thought on this is that if their strategy for marketing would have been like, here's a clone, and we're making sure we're not going to get sued, it would have probably been in their roster for a while, but people would have been like, I don't care about a clone, dude. I have like 4 different versions of it here at my house. But because they went the way they did, they affected the market in the sense that you have all these scalpers that are like, it's $69. I'm going to buy 10 of them. I'm going to sell each one of them for $500. Woohoo, yes. I'm going to buy a house. Yes. That's not how this fucking works, dude.
Yes. I think my favorite recreation of the clone Centaur is because I thought that was the most creative version. So the city I live in is called Cologne in English, but in German it's called Köln with the O and the 2 dots. And there's a guy in Spain who creates the Köln Centaur, which is like because the O and the L are like changed, and instead of having like one of the horses, he just has like the 2 towers of the big cathedral that we have in Cologne on the front, and he calls it the Köln Centaur. And I found that to be very, very, very nice, very sympathetic. And he sits in Spain, and he makes the pedals by hand. Apparently, he has some affiliation with Cologne that he says like, oh, I'm going to call it the Köln Centaur. So that is, I'm going to send you an image of that a little bit later. And for everybody who's watching, I'm going to like bake that into this so you can have a look. It's really nice. It's almost sweet. It's like almost sweet, like a little homage. And everybody knows what the pedal is because like Köln and Klon, it's like sounds very similar. But then he has like the 2 towers of the cathedral on top.
And what's funny is that even if you pronounce it like Anglophones and you say the Cologne Centaur, it still kind of works.
It's very, very, very good. Awesome. That kind of sums up what I had. I mean, there was another topic, but that kind of deserves its own sort of episode. To my understanding, and it's a funny topic as well. And
it's your pole dancing career, right?
Yes, exactly. You'll see.
It's not that funny when I dance, dude. You would be turned on, I swear.
I'm going to make millions of dollars.
We're going to build the pole, put it everywhere.
We're going to build poles everywhere in the country.
Nice.
What was her name, Maiden? Oh, she's beautiful. Isn't she beautiful?
Beautiful. Are you going to wear the wig too?
Imagine that. I'm going to be a great pole dancer, greatest ever, tremendous pole dancer, tremendous.
Yeah, you're going to buy the pole and Mexico's going to pay for it.
Yeah. Have you seen the other pole dancers? They're a disaster. Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
There slipped in my little.
It wouldn't be the Tone Lounge podcast episode if there wasn't at least one Arnold and one Donald Trump. So we're just missing Arnold sitting there watching Frank.
Arnold, but I'm too heavy. I can't pole dance. Impossible. What are you gonna do? I need a tank to pole dance. A proper tank. I need to learn a couple of more. I guess. We need more impressions on the podcast.
We have to do impressions. Like I do impressions, but they're kind of more restrictive. You have to really know the characters. You have to know the movie references and stuff like that, right? So I can't do Arnold. I tried to do Arnold, and I just sound like someone with like, I don't know, Down syndrome trying to do Arnold. It doesn't work. It sounds my kids were like, stop it. That's just cringy. I'm like, I'm trying. I'm not Frank, okay? I can't pole dance. I can't do Trump. I can't do Arnold.
Yeah.
Can't do interviews.
Nah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I
I can do pole dance.
Yeah.
I can do pole dancing.
I can do pole dance a lot.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody for listening in, for checking in with us. We appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that so far, and hit the bell icon so you get notified. If you're listening to us on Spotify or any other sort of podcast outlet, you can follow us there as well. We also appreciate that. Definitely helps us to grow this podcast and invite more amazing people to it. And as always, until the next episode, we salute you. Cheers.
Cheers.